Hello, welcome to Conversations with T. Today we have Dr. Miriam Sekandi. She joins us to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially in education. She is a keynote speaker, a facilitator, and trainer on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Good afternoon, Dr. Sekandi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, T.
Yeah, so how did you get into the diversity, equity, and inclusion space?
So I kind of fell into this space when I actually came here. So I come from Uganda, and back there, being Black was not really a thing because everyone looked the same. So it wasn't something I really focused on in terms of race, but I was always an advocate for social inequality, social financial inequality, because as a teacher, I noticed that some students were coming. I taught in the inner city to start, but I still noticed that the kids were in the inner city were really struggling with finances and resources and all of that. And then when I went into teacher education, I was training teachers as well in Uganda. I noticed that the teachers as well, a lot of them, because teachers are not very well paid, so asking them to bring in materials was a bit of a problem. So my brain was kind of skewed already in that area. So when I came here, I noticed, or I did experience microaggressions mostly, a bit of racism, like direct racism, but mostly microaggressions and systemic inequalities, systemic racism that was causing a lot of, and continues to cause a lot of barriers for myself. And so, when something's hurting, when something's itching, you gotta scratch it. And I'm one of those people who likes to scratch the itch.
So just out of curiosity, how long have you lived in Canada? Is it better now than when you first got into Canada, this microaggression and racism you're referring to?
I've been here since 2004. I can't say it is better. I can say for myself, I'm handling it better because now I'm informed. Definitely, just as we know, even back home, we have tribalism and all those things and religious stuff, butting against each other. But, societally, it's still there, but I'm better equipped. And of course, right now, in terms of policies and practices, it's more on everybody's radar. So it's more talked about now than then.
Okay. So your background as a teacher has maybe even helped you to be able to identify what inequities would look like right here in Canada. And you've been here 19, nearly 22 decades. What sort of inequalities or inequities scream at you in today's classroom, for example, or around just generally in the community? Talk to us some about that.
A big one for me, huge, for me is, before I even get into the classroom, what our kids face is in terms of the teachers, right? There's no good diverse composition of teachers that reflects what the diversity is like in the classroom. The two are not mirrored, and I can give examples of some of the students I've had in my classes at the University of Alberta. I've had classes where 100% of the students are white. And then I've also had a few classes, and this has been in the really rare cases, the ones who are not. I don't even, sometimes you get 2 or 1 or none. So, and unfortunately, a lot of hiring practices, and this goes across, not just in the teaching industry, but across, a lot of the hiring practices highlight the need to hire diverse individuals, that they're open to diversity. But unfortunately, the doors open for everyone to come in, but the space inside is not for everyone. So within the systems, the space is not for everybody. Although the door is open to everyone.
What does that mean? The space inside is not open to? Could you give us a bit more description of what that
would be? I can give, and I'll go to teaching. For example, I am a teacher trained in Uganda. And if I go to apply and it says, we are open to people from all backgrounds, and I apply, but then what they want is a K-12 experience. I do have K-12, but then they want Alberta teaching in the K-12, for example, or they want, so the experience that is wanted is very Canadian specific, but the door is being open to everybody. So you find that the system being used to recruit is not inclusive. The language is not inclusive. The procedure is not inclusive. It's very Euro-Western. You go to a website, you apply, and so then I've had some human resources say, well, we put the thing up on the website and people didn't apply. So what am I supposed to do? Hey, what about thinking about, is this the only way to advertise for positions?
We are saying that some HR departments are saying that Black people are not applying enough.
Yes.
Okay. So
despite putting up that statement, they don't see the applications, but they forget that the statement alone is not enough. Within all the qualifications, the things that they want, if I am an immigrant and coming in, the requirements don't match my experience, even if the job duties match I can do the job based on the job duties.
So it tells me you really don't want me there because
exactly.
you not worded it in a way to make
it's like it's a tripwire. So I'll trip and fall and not bother. I'll read through and I'm like,
It's not really me the one, which is a shame. Okay, let's talk about this space is not for everybody. Are you suggesting the institutions in Alberta are not being genuine when they talk about diversity and inclusion, or they are just brushing it over or just doing the barest minimum? They're being superficial about it.
Yeah, I think the heart is, I'm going to say the heart is in the mind. I don't know whether the heart is in the right place. The mind is in the right place. The need to create diverse spaces might be something that they know they can't get away from in this day and age, but they don't know how to go about it, and they don't ask for help, and they don't know who to ask for help, because to ask for help might require them to ask for the same people that they would need to occupy those spaces. So I think it's pardon?
Is that enough justification for not doing enough, for not recruiting black faces? It seems or sounds pretty lame.
And for me, it's not just Black faces. For me, it is Black perspective.
Right.
The perspective is the issue. They're missing out on that uni lens is stopping them from seeing multi lenses. Diverse means multi. Therefore, the need to kind of look at things from a multi-layered space.
So what should they be doing differently? I mean, is this a problem for the provincial government or for private businesses? What could the even provincial government do to address this?
I know in education, they've tried to do something. They've tried to put together some action plans. But looking at the action plans, to me, I equate this to abuse. right? When we talk about sexual abuse. Everybody knows, I assume everybody knows, if you've been in Alberta for a while, you know that if a child comes to you and says, or a woman or anybody comes to you and says, somebody touched me or somebody sexually assaulted me, we are not even allowed to doubt them. We are not allowed to question them. We believe the victim, and then the process of searching for information begins. And then, eventually someone's exonerated or not. So when it comes to this work, everybody has a part to play. The government has a huge part to play to be reflective on what the policies that are in place need to be audited. And they can't be audited by the same perspective that created them. There has to be diverse. But if you're looking at a policy that needs to be looked at for whether it's meeting diverse needs, you need diverse eyes, you need multiple perspectives on the policy. And so that's a huge one. Then on our part, like the people who are kind of living within the policy and implementing the policy, it's holding everyone accountable to the policy. Everyone, like, what's the policy in place? How fair is it to everyone? And this is not just on Black people, which is, one of the things that I talk about is the one Black person is tasked. The one Black teacher, for example, is tasked with running the Diverse Equity and Inclusion Committee. And some of these teachers don't want to do that work of being the educators to their peers. So thinking of an external person to come in and do that work, a person who actually does that work or eats that work for lunch. Just because I'm Black doesn't mean I'm equipped to talk about this work, but a lot of people are equipped to talk about this work and they're out there. So those situations need to be created. Safe, culturally safe environments need to be created for students.
So in terms
of...
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. And for students, in schools specifically, there have to be, it's not enough to say everybody has a responsibility to make sure that our schools are safe. That's not enough. So what if they are not safe? What happens? What do we have in place? So if a student comes to a teacher and says, so-and-so was calling me the N-word or did this to me, if it were sexual abuse, immediately the teacher knows what to do. There is no gray area. The teacher knows the process. But with racism, with discrimination, we don't really have, it's like, oh yeah, you need to say sorry and then you two can be friends again. That's not enough. That's not enough. If you are found drinking and the police takes away your driver's license when you are drinking while driving, you're sent back to do driver's ed. Are we getting people educated? Are we sending people back? People who claim to know about this work and they are in our schools and doing this to kids. I recently did a study and we were looking at kids and the kids were saying the teachers themselves are very discriminatory. Are we sending people back to study, to driver's ed, to learn again? Because I think if we keep sending people back, they will eventually put things in place. But as long as no one's held accountable, people will just do what they want.
I think it's sad that in 2023 that racism still has a lot of gray areas in that it may be perceived as subjective, and the principal will take the side of a teacher when you maybe want to report something. And many of our children, this is one of the things you said, many of our children come home and they report it, but nothing gets done. And when the child strikes out, the child is then given the suspension. The child is punished for the errors that the school or the teacher should have missed. Is there any hope really for racism, for racism in the sense that it would ever be taken as serious as sexual assault or sexual harassment or sexual crimes? Is it ever going to par side by side?
I think as long as we keep the foot on the pedal, it will. So there will be some changes. They may not be now, but this is just because it's not now doesn't mean we put our foot off the gas. We have to keep the foot on. We have to keep the foot on, and if we need to accelerate, we shall accelerate.
So there is hope. Let's talk about the lone Black voice in the school or institution who carries on the burden. How can we empower the very few Black teachers in schools to maybe put pressure on their leadership to find a different voice for equity and inclusion other than them? Are they able to turn down such positions? So
I think the teachers can say no. It doesn't. This is what I recommend. I do not want to be the one teaching everybody in the school. First of all, what are they even doing? They're telling them to lead the committee. What does that even mean? Are they consulting them? Like, what does that mean? Are they consulting them on, what does it look like? Or are they just running the campaign? So one of the things is to actually get them to, if they don't feel safe enough to handle this, to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't be the lone voice. This is what we need in place. This is what we need. The person has to be able to advocate for themselves and say, no, this is what we need in place to fix this. I need more people on board. I don't care if you're getting external. I don't care if you're getting parents to sit on this committee, because I think there should be parents on those committees. I think there should be students on those committees. Every stakeholder needs to be on that committee.
But are teachers empowered enough? Would they face any kind of rancor if they turn down such positions?
They are in the union, so
Okay.
I don't think they're going to face any discrimination or any punishment of sorts if they turn it down.
Now, Black students face a lot of trauma accentuated by this sort of ongoing racism through their career, from kindergarten, primary, secondary school. Does your research support this fact, this truth, or is it a lot of anecdotes here and there?
Racism is experienced in different ways and at different levels, of course. And a lot of it, when it happens when they are little, it's about what happens from their childhood, right? What is being talked about at home, because a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old expressing racism, where are they learning it from? Either it's from TV that they are being exposed to, or what the parents are saying about, Black people, or other, Muslims, or, other individuals. So I believe that is going to come from parents. And then sadly, if this is not caught early, it takes root, because we all know that, kids learn a lot. They're like sponges before the age of 7. Then after 7, the stories that have been inherited, that are written in school, that are written in books, that are on TV, shown in TV programs, they are subtle, but we see them, we see through. But little things like that get cemented. And, some kids may say things on the side, other kids may ask. I had one child who said, a kid asked him, can I call you the N-word? Is it okay if I call you the N-word? Yeah, exactly. So it's like, really, and the question would be, where do children learn about racism from? And the answer is one, from their families. That's where they're picking it up to start. And so for me, my belief is this work is not even just for teachers or for the government. It's for everybody, for families, you know, it's family work.
So many children and even parents, first-generation immigrants, spend their lives doing 2, 3 jobs. They often lack the language and to support their children, and a lot of the bitterness they experience at work and frustration comes home. And I'm just wondering if your data or research suggests that um, the rate of Black a lot of Black kids not finishing high school or Black kids being unemployed, would you attribute it to this same kind of trauma from race assaults, microaggressions, and so on and so forth? Low expectations.
I don't have personal research on that, but I do actually have an interesting experience that I had recently. I don't remember who I was talking with, and something just clicked for me. So I've worked with youth who, this even has nothing to do with racism, but it has a lot to do with ignorance of Black parents. So when, we've had stories where they say, oh, white kids can easily get into this university than Black kids. I don't know whether you've had things like that, right? But what happens is children, to get into university, you need to have certain subjects. To get into a certain course, you need to have certain subjects done. And so a lot of non-Black kids get guidance on the type of subjects they need to get into those courses. Now, when the kid has a Black parent who is struggling with, say, the English language and is unfamiliar with the education system, they are unable to provide proper guidance, academic guidance. And I'm talking about the ones who may not have the academic background, because I know parents who do have the academic background will look into those things. So they are unable to provide the children, so that kids may even finish high school. They may finish high school, but they may be unable to get into university because the courses they took, the combination of things they took, can't get them a course that they want to get into. So that's another huge, huge thing. Career education for our Black kids is gonna be very, very important. Very important, because we need our children to take, the kids need support on what do you want to be, without the parents saying, I need you to be a lawyer, I need you to be a doctor, because we also have that problem, and then the child can be supported. Okay, this is what you want to do. You want to do writing, you may need to go into this particular high school, which offers what you want. So sometimes there is a lot of ignorance and not ignorance in a bad way, but lack of knowledge, right? Lack of awareness of what exactly is happening in the education system. So parents are blind. They are blind. And sometimes if a kid takes a course and things are not working, they drop out and they don't even know how that course is connected to where they want to go, and there's no one to talk to. So this is where we need more Black people in the schools also supporting these kids, because they are more than likely to go to, if for example, there is someone in the career education department, if they see someone who looks like them, they may want to talk to that person. And this other person will also understand the cultural background where this kid is coming from, and give them support from that side.
Okay, so let's talk about tools now, how to dig our way out of this. Well, for starters, I know that many Black kids are faced with low expectations. It's okay, you don't have to try. Maybe not just Black kids, maybe that's just symptomatic of being schooled in the public school system. You don't have to aim for 90. Just if your best is a 50%, then you've tried. that sort of pat down. I'm just wondering, what sort of tools would you give to parents, would you give to kids, as they journey through the system, really?
Mm-hmm. A big one that I think parents could try and do is to find mentors. Kids need mentors because we lose that when we move from back home. We lose the mentorship, right? And when they don't see as many people in different professions, then it also, when they go to their eye doctor, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having white people in these positions. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying kids need to also see that normalized. But when they don't see themselves normalized and all they see is, say, what professions do they see Black adults engaged in? If they don't have that mentorship, a lot is going to be really, really hard. So I would recommend mentorship first and foremost, because the mentor is going to be, even if it means approaching someone and saying, hey, can you spend an afternoon with my child, just for the child to learn about this profession, So we elders also, we need to do a lot of work to support these children, to show them what's open for them. And so, the 50 will be a 50 until they need to know why they need to get a 70 or an 80 or a 90. If they don't know why, it's going to be the 50. But if they go, they meet up with a doctor, they meet up with a lawyer, they meet up with a dentist, they meet up with, and I'm not saying these are the only good professions, but I'm just giving those as examples, right? Then they can say, you know what? Oh, kids who love to write, Ladies' Corner is there, right? If they love to write. I have one who told me like she wants to go into a specific high school because of creative writing. And she said, I don't care if I get a PhD in creative writing. I was like, that would be cool, right? So that kid, my job, if they've shown me that they're interested in writing, my job is to put opportunities in front of them, because they're my child, right? Put those opportunities in front of them. And if they take them and taste it and they're like, this tastes good, what do I need to do in school?
All
Then
right.
the 50% has meaning, right? The 70 has meaning, the 90 has meaning.
Because there's an end goal.
Yeah.
So how do we get our people to increase? It says, how do we increase our visibility in classrooms? Or how do we get Black people to keep applying for these jobs, even though the wordings of these applications may not be overtly friendly? And let me also add this, that many Black people, when we come here super educated, because the PR system does not bring in, they cream the best from Africa here, they cream the best from anywhere. But yet here, they assume we cannot read, they assume we cannot write, they assume, make all these silly deductions and assumptions. And I'm just wondering if what is the way out actually or how do we get more Black people to apply? Because for a long time, the school door was shut on Black teachers, that they're opening it quietly. Many people don't know, or they've like, oh, I've given up. It's not for me. Because I know as well that many Black teachers actually, who may have taught in England or in Africa, when they come here, it's hard to find a permanent job in a school. They make you an itinerant, a roaming teacher. It's called supply or something.
Mm-hmm.
I remember what it's called. So it's kind of hard. My auntie, and I know this story so well because my auntie spent 17 years in Canada. And in 17 years, it was just last year, she got a permanent job as a teacher. And guess where she got it? In Nunavut.
Up north, yeah.
And her family is here in Calgary. So you see how long she suffered, years she was depressed. But now to be a teacher in a classroom, it took 17 years.
Yeah. That story is not very different from mine. When I Well, it took me 2 years to get my interim teaching certificate. And then I was told to get my permanent, I need to apply to a school so I can get the hours, right? So I went to apply to the school board. And one of the things they require is your mentor teacher's comment, your report of your teaching practice. We don't have that. We don't have that. All I have is a grade, but that's what they want. So in that section, I have nothing to upload. And because I have nothing to upload, I can never have a complete application. So I have spoken to a number of people, and I think we really underestimate the power of our voices. We can complain about a system, but a system can never be fixed if we complain to each other. We have to start speaking out to the right ears so that it makes sense to them. We can be mad at a system. Well, they created the system because it worked for them. But if we are able to use our voices and the avenues and the spaces, so many people are asked to show up in places and they will not. They will not even attend events and network, right? Because I have to stay home. I don't know what excuses people give, but the reality is we need to stop being dismissive of opportunities to network and opportunities to speak, because you never know which ear is the right ear. So all these, we have to, like, if I complain to you and I complain to another Black sister and another Black sister, it's not enough. We need, one of the reasons you saw me was I took advantage of open ears that were not Black to speak out, right? So we use those opportunities to speak out. We are hard. But if we complain amongst ourselves and, oh, the system doesn't work for us, or things can only change if the right ears keep hearing the same thing over and over again, and then they're like, oh, this is actually an issue. And sometimes we have to befriend these people. We have to be crafty and befriend people so that when we drop the point, it actually lands, right? And that way, we have to bring these people in as our allies. We can't keep looking at them as enemies because, the system is bad. Yes, it's bad, but it works for them. So until we show them what's happening on our end, they will only keep seeing their side of the story.
I'll make it work for us. Okay, well, it's a good place to wrap it up. Dr. Miriam Sekandi, you are a keynote speaker, facilitator, and trainer on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you so very much for your time today.
Oh, welcome. Thank you so much.